Hello, the topic of our project is cloud computing, and it will be presented by Claudia, Daniela, and Casita. Our presentation will speak on the medium that was chosen, what is cloud computing, history of cloud computing options, cloud computing examples, benefits, disadvantages, importance of cloud computing, and the references will also be displayed. Our medium. Our project will utilize Google to create a shareable online presentation. This medium was chosen because it allows various authors to collaborate on a document at the same time and has functionality to export the completed document into other programs.
Often referred to as a cloud computing is the delivery of on-demand computing services. It is the ability to store and access data and applications over the internet rather than a hard drive. There are three different layers of cloud computing. The first one is infrastructure as a service. This service provides access to elements of infrastructure such as hardware, servers, storage, software, security, and maintenance. Such service is provided by a third party. The second layer is software as a service. This works in a pay-per-use service. It allows to use software applications as a service to end users. It is a software distribution model where any cloud application is available to customers through the internet. The last layer is platform as a service. It provides a platform for applications. It allows users to develop, run, and manage applications. There are three different kinds of platforms as a service. These can be public, private, or a mix of both.
History of cloud computing. The modern-day idea of cloud computing dates back to the 1950s when large-scale mainframes were made available to schools and corporations. The mainframe's colossal hardware infrastructure was installed in what could be called a server room, since the room would generally only be able to hold a single mainframe. Multiple users were able to access the mainframe via dumb terminals, which are stations with the sole function of facilitating access to the mainframes. 20 years later, in the 1970s, IBM released an operating system called VM that permitted admins on its 370 mainframe systems to have multiple virtual systems or virtual machines on a single physical node. In the 1990s, telecommunications companies that historically only offered single dedicated point-to-point data connections began offering virtualized private network connections with the same service quality as dedicated services at a reduced cost. Servers were virtualized into shared hosting environments, virtual private servers, and virtual dedicated servers using the same types of functionality provided by the VM operating system in the 1950s. By installing and configuring a piece of software called a hypervisor across multiple physical nodes, a system could present the environment's entire resources as though those resources were in a single physical node. To visualize that environment, technologists use terms like utility computing and cloud computing, since the sum of the parts seemed a nebulous blob of computing resources you could then segment out as needed. In these cloud computing environments, adding resources to the cloud was easy. All you had to do was add another server to the rack and configure it to become part of the bigger system.
One advantage of using cloud computing services is its flexibility. Users can use different cloud options depending on the service and resources that they are using. The most common way of cloud computing is a public one. It is owned and operated by a third-party cloud service provider. The services provided by a public cloud are accessed through a web browser. Everyone using this resource uses the same hardware, storage, and network devices. This cloud is cost-efficient, does not need maintenance, and it is a very reliable source. Examples of public cloud services include online office applications, email, and storage. Private services are most commonly used by government agencies, financial institutions, businesses, and organizations. Private cloud computer services and infrastructures are always maintained on a private network. The hardware and software is also only used by that single organization. This cloud is very secure, efficient, and flexible to accommodate users. The third type of cloud computing services is a hybrid one. This cloud combines the advantages of both private and public cloud computing services. In this service, you can control which you want to use depending on your needs. For example, for lower security needs, such as checking your email, one can use a public cloud, and for more business or financial operations, one can use a private one. With this service, the user has much control and flexibility. It is also cost-efficient and easy to use. Some examples of cloud computing include Microsoft Azure Cloud Services, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, DevOps Managed Services, and more.
There are several benefits when it comes to using cloud computing. This includes cost reduction. If an organization chooses to opt for cloud computing, they will save several dollars on the purchase and maintenance of other IT equipment. Another benefit to using the cloud is security. There are several security features and encryptions that guarantee the data is stored properly and securely. The last benefit that we will talk about is simple data recovery. This is especially beneficial if any equipment is damaged. When using cloud computing, data is stored over the internet rather than a hard drive, and for this reason, data is always available. Although there are several benefits to cloud computing, there are also several disadvantages. One of these is downtime. Cloud computing is dependent on a strong internet connection. Therefore, if the network goes offline, so does the cloud, and it becomes difficult to access any information that is stored on it. Another disadvantage is state surveillance. The U.S. National Security Agency has a high level of access to American cloud companies. The last disadvantage of the cloud is security. In the last slide, we mentioned it as an advantage. However, it can be seen as both. The cloud is a target for cyber thieves due to the amount of sensitive data that is stored on it.
Importance of cloud computing. Flexibility. Cloud computing is good for everyone, students, businesses, and users in general. It allows employees to access key resources from wherever they are. Collaboration. The constant connectivity offered by cloud computing means that we can share our information, photos, documents, etc. much more easily. Software update. We no longer have to store information on multiple hard drives or transfer information every time we upgrade our device. Mobility. Cloud computing gives you the flexibility to work from wherever you are. Data loss prevention. Separating applications from operating systems from hardware results in reduced risk of complete collapse. Security. In some ways, cloud computing is more secure than personal computing because the companies who host their data have the money to produce a large and secure infrastructure. Productivity. Cloud services let companies quickly ramp capacity up and down to match business needs. Low cost. Cloud services can free up organizations from capital expenditures on their computing infrastructure and minimize the need for in-house IT expertise. These are the references that were used to gather information for this project. We hope you learned something from this presentation. Thank you.